Hello and welcome to Focus54, your weekly guide to real African news. My name is Jeffrey Mrimbechi. To catch repeats of previous episodes, go on our social media, on our Facebook, Instagram, as well as our YouTube, and you can get to catch up on all of the episodes that we've had and give reference to what we're talking about today. Now, today addresses the dark side of industrial waste management in Africa and how local entrepreneurs, experts, and green revolution warriors in the continent are gearing up to cash in on more than just carbon credits, but to cash in on real money, on real waste, and real products. Now, we'll be joined later on by our recycling expert, a leader and a maverick in waste management, Terrence Mathe, an entrepreneur within Zimbabwe, who will let us know how the business and the ecosystem of waste is all about. But we kick off by talking about trending news within the country, and the most trending president at the moment is President of the United States, Donald Trump, who has reportedly given asylum to 49 Afrikaners fleeing from the oppressive regime of South Africa. Now, a lot of questions have been raised in social media, with people posing questions on the fact that African refugees get turned away, detained, and asked to produce birth certificates and their grandmother's goat, if you can even imagine. And a special flight courtesy of the US government flew these white South African farmers who apparently received with enthusiasm of a NASCAR crowd, with a free beer day even being announced. And what an interesting story there. You can give us your thoughts on the diplomacy and the facts and opinions around that. It is quite a topic that is being discussed on TikTok on why the President of the United States is throwing an olive branch to this particular group of 49 Afrikaners who are refugees. Very interesting. Now, we turn to Uganda, where Uganda's coffee export boom is brewing at where coffee brewing has had a dramatic reduction in its trade deficit, with the country stepping up efforts to curtail imports. Now, according to official data, Uganda's trade deficit with the rest of the world dropped from 83.7% in February 2025 compared to the same period in the year 2024. Now, still in Africa, the African Union Conference on Debt held in Lome, the capital of Togo, brought together hundreds of delegates to explore innovative models on achieving Africa's debt sustainability. Now, the three-day conference drew over 500 delegates, including heads of state, financial experts, and policymakers, with the common goal of restoring and safeguarding public debt sustainability across the continent. Now, countries such as Nigeria, that we'll talk about, cleared off their $30+ billion debt with the IMF, but are still now paying the debt fees, and that is all that remains. And maybe other countries could also be debt-free. Now, we talk about Africa and the perennial problem that you and I are facing of traffic jam and traffic rules. Now, Senegal is poised to phase out Dakar's iconic fast buses and replace them with modern ones. And this has provoked mixed reactions in the general population, as there is a shift in the way people in Senegal will be moving. Now, I spoke about Nigeria early on. Now, in Nigeria's falling of the global rice prices benefits consumers by making it more affordable. Now, this poses challenges for local rice producers and processors, who may experience losses due to lower selling prices and increased imports. Now, whenever we tell you this kind of news, it's always an opportunity. Now, rice prices are dropping across Africa, dropping across the world. Could be an opportunity for you as a rice importer in Africa. Stay tuned for the second and the third segment of Focus 54, where our in-studio expert Terrence Mathe teaches you how to turn waste into money. Welcome back to the second segment of Focus 54. And joining us in studio today is Terrence Mathe, who is an entrepreneur, sustainability consultant, and a recycling expert whose work in industrial waste management is reshaping how Africa is managing its own trash. Terrence, welcome to Focus 54.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
Well, when people hear about waste management, they imagine garbage trucks, city council, tenders and scams and things like that. But I hear this is actually $1 billion industry. What exactly is industrial waste management, and where does Africa fit in the global picture?
Okay, that's a great question. So you're actually very correct to say a very bad picture comes to mind when you talk about waste. But when you talk about industrial waste, you're asking yourself a simple question to say, looking at all of the people in the industrial areas, they produce all kinds of liquid, solid waste, and where does it go? Most of that waste does not find its way to the landfills or the large dump sites. Mm-hmm. Most people in the business like mine go out to different companies and we collect that waste. Mm-hmm. That waste may be chemical waste from manufacturing processes. It can be medical waste from hospitals. It can also be plastic and metal waste that we take for recycling, or even used computers. That is electronic waste. So that is all kinds of different waste that we handle, which is waste that typically does not go to the landfill.
Now, looking at where we are as Africa, we're dealing with the east and the west of the world. What innovations and technologies are we putting into the recycling and waste management systems? Are we at an advanced level, or we're at a very basic entry level?
I would say we're still at the entry level, because typically what we've always done is just dump waste. But as you said, looking at the east and the west, they've come up with different ways of handling waste. Mm-hmm. Like I said, when you upgrade your computer, the old computer becomes electronic waste. Mm-hmm. But that computer's got different metallic and plastic components that can be recovered and recycled. That technology to us in Zimbabwe is still new, but countries in the east and the west have perfected that technology, such that when they segregate their electronic waste, it's already going to be stripped, and materials are recovered and materials are reused. That's why you see that when you buy your Apple products now, it does tell you that over 50% has been made from recovered materials. It's because they've simply perfected those systems to collect, to segregate, and to recover materials. So specifically in Zimbabwe, we're still at an entry level with regards to these technologies.
From your view, I know you are in different forums, you speak to people in Uganda and places like that. In terms of policy making, are there policies in different African countries that incentivize people that are in waste management in terms of incentives? Are they, written laws that help everything move better?
I would say outside of Zimbabwe and South Africa, other African countries are a bit behind. Now you'll see that I intentionally grouped Zimbabwe with South Africa, because you see Zimbabwe policy-wise we actually have got very good policies. The challenge is that there aren't enough players to take advantage of the opportunities. Our policies are similar to what is in South Africa, but South Africa being a more advanced economy, there are many players in different stages of waste management. Whilst outside of these two countries, really, many people, even at policy level, before we even get to the players, these are sectors that they really haven't looked at. So in Zimbabwe, our regulator is EMA. EMA has the laws, EMA has the policies. It's just that most people, when they go into issues with regards to waste management and recycling, it's mainly people who go out to collect refuse from people's homes, or who collect plastic waste for recycling. But as I said, the waste industry is very broad. The regulations are there. What's required are the players to go in and take advantage of the opportunities.
Now let's talk about some, I'd say, huge populations. For example, Kenya Kenya has got one of the biggest high-density settlements, the Kibera. It's a high waste producing. Let's talk about Lagos, Nigeria, Kampala, to name just a few. These huge cities produce tons and tons of waste per day.
Yes.
You said earlier on that it's a multi-billion-dollar business. Is there money in waste, and what are the actual opportunities that are available to young people across Africa to say, look, if you get into this industry, you get waste from Joburg, you get waste from Harare, and you become a millionaire? Where are the opportunities, and is there money in all of this?
Indeed, there's lots of money, like I said, in different segments of waste. Look at the number of motor vehicle repair shops across the country and across the continent. You ask yourself, what happens to your used oil after you've gone for servicing? So there are companies that go to different spare or repair shops who collect used oil, and there's a way of recycling that. And it's then used, for example, to power boilers for industrial purposes.
Really?
Yes. But once again, a lot of that waste, there's still a capacity issue. Not all of that oil is collected. A lot of it then just goes to waste. But that already is an opportunity, because an industrial player would rather buy recovered diesel at 50 cents a litre as compared to buying diesel at the pump for $1.50. That means you'd have saved 2/3 of your cost to power your industrial boilers. So that's an opportunity already. There's the typical stuff like what I said, where a lot of people are in, which is plastic recovery and recycling.
And then metal as well.
Yes, but already with plastic, there's still so much plastic waste. There's still so much glass waste. There's still so much medical waste. There's so much electronic waste. So all of these are opportunities that young people should go in and exploit.
Terrence, we're going to take a short break on Focus 54. I think my mind is still just coming to terms with the fact that, waste is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And having serviced cars and, it's still getting into my mind that where does the oil that comes from your mechanic's workshop, where does it go? Can that be turned into something else? It's something to ponder on. Stay tuned. We come through with the third and final segment of Focus 54, and we want to find out how players in this green economy are making millions. Welcome to the third and final segment of Focus 54. We are with our consultant in waste management, Terrence Mathe, who has been opening our minds, and I can tell that the comments will be coming through about waste management. Now, Terrence, we need to talk about one of Africa's critical partners, China, and they are industrial giants. What can we learn from the Chinese, who are players in waste management in Africa? Because I hear that cargo ships are leaving the continent with waste and they're coming back as finished products. Can you give us an insight on how that sector is and how that business is booming for others?
Okay. Now, the benefit that our friends from the East have is, first of all, they are enlightened. They've seen these technologies work, and also they have access to the market in China. So when they visit Africa and they see these large heaps of waste, they immediately identify the opportunity. Once again, like I said before, that the opportunities could be in paper waste. For them back in China, they know where to take the paper waste, they know where to take the glass waste, they know where to take the metal waste, because in China they've got large waste recovery facilities. So they can convert that paper waste And then it will come back to Africa as, customized packaging, for cosmetics or for electronics or for other metal products. So like I said, it becomes an issue of traveling to these countries to see the facilities, to get an appreciation of the equipment that you require, and then also to then sign the contracts that give you access to those markets.
Now, let's talk about what the Second Republic has done. Through the Second Republic, we saw the Geop Pomona Waste Management Center. That used to be an awful dump site. Just using that as an example, how does Geop Pomona and such projects, how do they work? Because I've wondered, we are dumping trucks and trucks of waste there. How are they making money? What are they doing there?
Okay, what the Second Republic has done is actually fantastic, and you've already given a great example, which is Geop Pomona. And what we can only expect is that that model will be replicated to other cities across the country. Obviously, I'm not a spokesperson for Geop Pomona. There are certain aspects of their business model that I'm not aware of. But obviously, the first thing is that they've been able to compact the waste, receive it very well. So already the first thing you notice is the bad smell that has gone away. Also the issue of openly burning waste, which then creates smoke, and that has gone away. So already those are benefits that we are all realizing. Also, to have a functional dump site where you can take your waste is also something that is very important for us to have functional and beautiful cities. And like I said, we only hope that the model will be replicated to other cities. To complement that, of course, will be industrial facilities like what we offer, whereby we handle industrial and hazardous waste. That is typically waste that you don't see being taken to facilities like Geop Pomona. Like what I said, the industry is very vast. The Second Republic has also been very supportive with regards to capacitating EMA. EMA has patrols where they go about to identify illegal dump sites and to prosecute those who are behind the creation of those illegal dump sites. That is to the benefit of all of us, because you don't want to drive out of your gate and there's an illegal dump site, a big pile of waste. So by capacitating EMA to perform that function, it's very helpful. EMA also works on the legislation part. Like what I said, our country's got fantastic laws that govern waste management. What's required are other players. So first of all, just having that legal framework to say, if I want to go into the sector, what license do I require? EMA has that. Also, if you're not sure how to handle different types of waste, EMA has those general guidelines. So those are significant ways in which the Second Republic has also assisted to ensure that the industry grows, but also that it grows in a regulated and an organized and formalized way.
You have a clear understanding of Southern Africa. These things that we are doing in Southern Africa, can they be replicated into other countries? I'm shocked that Nigeria has not gone big in terms of waste management when they have a population of over 100 million. Why is the rest of Africa sleeping on waste?
Like I said, they don't have an organization like EMA that provides the laws, that provides the guidelines, and that encourages people to go into those sectors. Those are very critical components to that ecosystem because there are hazardous aspects that come about with handling waste. You can be pricked and that can lead to infection. So there has to be the legal framework that governs these issues. Also, like what I said, there's also the point of being enlightened to the opportunity and also having the market to say, okay, I am now aware that I can collect used computers and laptops and tablets and cell phones.
Batteries as well.
And batteries. I'm able to strip them down, separate the elements, but after doing that, I can take them somewhere.
Okay.
Or in actual fact, I can be the person that people bring those components to, and then you have the facility to recover and to create or to manufacture other components from the recycled materials. So there has to be also that entrepreneurial will and passion to say, even though they may not be the EMA equivalent in that country with those guidelines, to say, we'll organize ourselves, we'll do it, and then we'll advise the lawmaker that this is what we're doing, and then seek that support from the regulators.
Sort of sounds like it's quite capital intensive. Now, we have heard of the term waste to energy.
Yes.
In the green revolution and the green economy. Can waste be turned into energy, and do you have any examples within Africa or around the world where waste is turned into forms of energy?
Yes. So going back to our previous segment, I had already told you about used oil from motor vehicles. That in itself is waste to energy. Used oil is collected, it goes through a purification process, and then it's sent to industrial players who use that in their industrial boilers. So that is giving waste a new lease of life. However, when people talk about waste to energy, typically they are thinking of the larger scale plants that actually generate electricity. My understanding is that that is where Geop Pomona is going, and I hope that becomes a learning point to all of us to see that it actually works, and hopefully they can actually lead by taking that technology to other countries across the continent.
Is biogas still a concept in Africa that we are sleeping on, or biogas could be the next big industry?
Biogas could also be the next big industry, and it's great that you've brought it up. There are actually lots of players in the biogas sector here in Zimbabwe. You'd be shocked that if you go to a number of farms, they actually function on biogas technologies. A lot of waste, animal waste, is collected from pigsties, from chicken runs, from fowl runs. I've also been to a couple of farms whereby they have biogas generators. So that technology is actually in Zimbabwe. It's very functional. Instead of having diesel generators, a number of farms are running off biogas generators. So that technology works, even in schools. Some schools have biogas cookers in their kitchens, and biogas geysers for their hostels. So that is technology that actually works, and it's actually working here in Zimbabwe.
Previously on Focus54, we've had guests that talk about climate change. I would say these are my green warriors that have been in studio. And one of the things that came out is that Africa contributes about 3 or 4% to the carbon footprint of the entire world, but the effects are shared equally. Speaking of climate change, how does waste management help in terms of environmental resilience to climate change, as in the importance of us handling our wastes across Africa? How does that make our lives better and our environment better?
It significantly makes our lives and environments better, because the recycling component of waste reduces the need to always have to manufacture new materials. I'll also give you an example to say having proper landfills and material recovery facilities also removes the need to openly burn waste. That is a significant challenge that also contributes to the same carbon emissions. So people will create illegal dump sites, and after some time someone will just come with a match and say, this heap has become too big, let's burn the waste.
And then they light that up.
So that is not only an eyesore, it just doesn't only create smoke, but it also contributes to these challenges with regards to emissions. But if you've got functional landfills where waste is collected and dumped and managed and recycled, it reduces the need to always create new PET bottles from new materials, and all of these things are recycled, hence reducing the carbon footprint that you allude to.
Well, we also have African free trade agreements and movements of goods and people across different parts of the continent. Are there regulatory policies that regulate the movement of waste from one country to another? For example, if private players like yourself find that there's certain waste that's available for recycling and management in Zambia, for example, what's the state of affairs in terms of regulation of moving waste from one country to another? Is it very strict? Is it still open play? How does that work?
Actually, there are those regulations, and it is quite strict. You use a good example whereby you used Zambia. Zambia has their own regulator called ZEMA, and there is a system of licenses. The reason being is that, like what I said, it's important that the way waste is handled and transported is regulated, because that same waste could carry disease, it could carry infections. So at present, there are regulations that restrict and manage the movement of waste. It's actually good those regulations are there, but it mainly does not inhibit us from operating. What it does is to simply ensure that there is a documented chain of custody of that waste, to say this waste was generated from this facility, it was then picked up by this individual, these were the quantities, and indeed it did make its way to this other facility in a different country. We do have experience of moving that waste. We have before handled waste from Zambia, so and also from South Africa. So we do have the experience and the knowledge of how it's done. So it is possible, the laws are there, and they're very useful. They are not necessarily restrictive.
Terrence, I think we need to let you go and help us manage waste across Africa. Thank you so much for giving us your insights. I think now more than ever, we have a shift in mindset. I'll call this the renaissance of waste in Africa, as we've been told by our expert in studio that all these landfills and all of this waste that we see is actually business and the billions of dollars that we're sitting upon. And we need to start thinking twice about the value chain of consumers from the time we produce, consume, and get rid of waste. To catch more of Focus54, please join us on our YouTube channel. That is ZBC News Online and ZBC TV. And you can get a recap and get in touch with our guest online. His name is Terrence Mathe. But unfortunately, time is a resource that we don't have on this episode today. And you can catch us next week. My name is Jeffrey Murimbeji.